The situation in the Middle East has escalated into a full-scale conflict involving the United States, Israel, and Iran, with significant impacts on Gulf nations. The region is experiencing a major military confrontation that began in late February. The conflict, referred to by the US as Operation Epic Fury, has seen intense exchange of fire. US strikes on Iran. When President Donald Trump announced the US forces totally obliterated all military targets on Iran, Iran's primary oil export hub were also damaged in the island. Iran retaliated by responding with a strategy of horizontal escalation, launching hundreds of drones and missiles, not just at Israel, but at US military installations and host countries throughout the Gulf. US casualties and damage. The Pentagon has confirmed approximately 13 to 15 US military personnel have been killed since the start of the war. This also damaged the impact of Gulf states. The Gulf Cooperation Council countries have been thrown into the crossfire, facing a direct hit on their territory. Iranian strikes have hit targets in the Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, and even Jordan. Their infrastructure was damaged. A drone attack hit the Ras Tanura oil refinery. The UAE strike have impacted Al Dhafra Air Base and civilian areas in Dubai. Also Oman, a fuel storage tanks at the port of Salah were set ablaze. So this caused economic and diplomatic fallout, energy crisis. The Strait of Hormuz is effectively closed to most traffic due to Iranian trade and active strikes on shipping vessels. This has caused a global oil price to soar. Diplomatic tension also occurred. Iran also targeted and damaged several billion-dollar US defense installations and radar systems across the Gulf. Here is the breakdown of a major assets destroyed or damaged in these escalations. Major high-value target hit. According to the military data and satellite imagery, Iran has damaged approximately 1.9 billion to 2 billion worth of US military equipment in the first weeks of the war. This is the most expensive single loss, located at Al Udeid Air Base. This 1.1 billion radar system was struck by Iranian missile on March 1. It is a critical eye for detecting long-range ballistic missile. Iran also claimed to have destroyed the ANTBY-2 radar component of that terminal high-altitude area defense system at Al Ruwais satellite. Satellite imagery suggested a direct hit on this 500 million component, which is essential for intercepting incoming missile. Centicom Terminal Bahrain. During the Operation strike, the US Navy 5th Fleet headquarters in Manama saw the destruction of two major satellite communication terminals, significantly disrupting command and control networks. At least 6 satellite communication condoms were destroyed. Ali Al Salim Air Base also sustained damage to aircraft shelters and structure. The strategic impact on the region. The targeting of these eyes radar in a specific Iranian strategy to blend the US and its partners, making it harder to intercept future waves of missiles. This has caused significant tension between the US and Gulf states. While the US defense focuses on high priority military assets, beyond the military cost, the Strait of Hormuz remains functionally closed, pushing a global oil price towards a record high, as shipping insurance becomes nearly impossible to obtain. The effective closure of the strait has caused the most significant energy disruption since 1970. The strait is only about 33 kilometers wide at its narrowest point, but it acts as a transmission belt for the global economy. Roughly 20 million barrels per day pass through the strait. This represents about 20% of the world's total oil consumption and 25% of all seaborne oil trade. Liquefied natural gas also transits the strait primarily from Qatar. This gas is critical for electricity and heating in Europe and Asia. Unlike other shipping routes, there are a few ways to bypass the Strait of Hormuz. Most pipelines in the region, like those in Saudi Arabia or UAE, can only handle a small fraction of what tankers carry. While the impact is global, certain regions are hit harder. China, India, Japan, and South Korea receive over 80% of the crude oil that passes through the strait. Europe, already struggling with energy security. Europe relies heavily on Qatari LNG to replace the lost Russian supplies. The Iranian military, especially RGC, has shifted its strategy to directly target oil and gas facilities in the Gulf. This is a deliberate graduated pressure campaign intended to achieve several strategic goals, raising the cost of war for the US. Tehran believes that by attacking the global energy supply, they can force the US to end the Operation Epic Fury, because this creates economic pain by destroying storage tanks and refineries. So Iran aims to push global oil prices towards 200 per barrel. Political pressure. They calculated that a high gas prices and inflation in the US will cause American public and Congress to pressure the Trump administration to stop the military campaign. Even if we can't export, no one can. Iran has adopted a shared security doctrine, retaliation. Since Iran's own oil infrastructure is being decimated, they are ensuring that Gulf neighbors also lose their ability to export. The message is clear. Tehran is signaling to countries like Qatar and UAE that hosting US bases makes their own critical infrastructure a legitimate target. They want Gulf leaders to demand that the US must stop using their territory and airspace for a strike against Iran. And this is a strategic blending. Many of the strikes on energy facilities are paired with attack on radar and defense system by forcing Gulf states to use their expensive interceptor missile, like Patriot or THAAD, to defend the oil tanks. So Iran is depleting the region's defensive stockpile, making it easier for future missile waves to hit their target.